What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of MaintStory. Today's topic is unused maps. MapleStory is a really old game. There are many updates. New content brings in more maps for players to explore. However, this usually makes old maps less relevant, making them not too optimal for farming, or the new maps are just strictly better. Before we get into discussion of unused maps, let's take a look at some of the most popular maps. Vanishing Journey, Below the Cave, Choo Choo Island, Celebrity Deaths, Arcana's Side Path, Lamina's End of the World 2.5, Morash Shadow Dance Hall 2, Moonbridge Last Horizon 6, and of course, all of these maps are in Arcane River. It's mainly because the progression in MapleStory's content is tied within Arcane River. Nodestones, for your 5th job, you can only find them in Arcane River. Droplets, you can only farm them in Arcane River to make Arcane Gear. You could argue that Mesos and Familiars can be farmed in other maps besides Arcane River, but why do that when you can, get the best rates in Arcane River and you get nodes and droplets on top of it? It just seems too good, right? Not to farm in Arcane River. So these are basically all mob rewards, right, in Arcane River. So I believe that fixing the mob rewards will incentivize players to grind in older maps. So what older maps am I talking about that are quote-unquote unused or not used that often? The easiest ones to fix are the maps in Scrapyard and Dark World Tree. People already go there on a weekly basis to actually make absolute gear for either their meals or their mains if they're starting out. So in order to attempt harder bosses like Lucid and Will, you usually get absolute gear before you go to arcane gear. People go there because they need to do those quests, which will reward them those small coins to actually create the absolute coin. But you can also get these small coins from the mobs themselves, but however their drop rate aren't too high. So it's kind of really bad to actually try to farm them. So people just do the weekly quests. But if you increase the drop rate of those small coins from Scrapyard and Dark World Tree mob, then people will have an alternative to actually grind out those coins, and it'll make those maps relevant for farming again. You'll get a decent meso rate, I guess. I mean, Arcane River is just too good, right? But still, you'll get those small coins and you'll actually make your absolute gear a lot faster, because there's a lot of people that don't have multiple characters just to do weeklies on, and it's really slow if you only have one character that can actually do the weekly quests. But you just need one character to actually farm there, right? So if they increase the drop rate of the small coins, it would make those maps more relevant to content that people might actually want to farm for. Another map that comes to mind is Temple of Time. Apparently, Piece of Time farming was kind of a thing back in the day for Mesos. If you had enough drop rate, you could actually farm these at a reasonable rate, and these pieces of time can be sold for 1 million Mesos a pop. So if you had enough drop gear and drop rate, you can actually farm these at a reasonable rate. So this could be pretty good for Mesos, actually, for players who, are in early game kind of thing. I guess getting a drop rate gear is kind of difficult anyways, because you still need legendary gear, right? But if, with a bit of tweaking, such as decreasing the mob HP so you don't need a lot of funding just to one-shot these mobs, and increase the drop rate of these pieces of time, this would actually make these maps more farmable for early game players. Give a reason to why people should farm in these maps. At present, there are many older areas in MapleStory basically are below level 200 content, right? Such as Ludi, Aqua Road, Mulung. There's a lot of content actually that's below 200, but they're only good for helping people train to 200, which getting to 200 isn't that hard anymore, right? But there's so many maps just for below 200 content, right? So maybe they could make these maps more relevant besides training to 200, right? A pretty silly idea, but here's an example of how to make the Ludi map more relevant. For example, a craftable pat mark, because some people are dying to get their hands on a pat mark, because it makes for the second alternative for best in slot for your eye accessory, right? A transposed pat mark to a Sweetwater monocle, right? And this pat mark is not an easy item to get from Papulatus. I guess some people have it easy, but some people are struggling on their 100th clear on Papulatus, right? But what if you made the mobs in Ludi drop some kind of essence, and you can actually craft a pat mark if you farm for it, right? This would actually incentivize players to actually farm in the Ludi maps. It sounds a bit silly, but something along the lines of those things. So if you tie in progression with the actual grinding of the map, people will actually go there to farm. I'm pretty sure people actually do farm those totems in the U Garden. Yes, that's the name, U Garden, right? So people will grind in maps just to get, you know, some upgrades within their gear, even if they're not best in slot or whatever. They can just be good alternatives for gearing options, right? So that would incentivize players to actually use older maps. Looking aside rates and rewards, some maps are irrelevant just because they're just straight up have terrible layouts. Like, why didn't Nexon even make the map look like this, right? How could this map ever be farmable? I'm okay with the idea of experimenting with maps to see if any class can farm on that map efficiently, but some maps are just, you know, why does this map look like this, right? But yeah, very easy fix is that, you know, if it has a terrible layout, just fix the layout simply, which Nexon has done a lot, and specifically in Lumina they did change a lot, but there's a lot of maps that just have really bad layouts. There's also the possibility of bringing back party play for larger maps, especially in Morass, right? But you know, if you had party play, even if the map is really terrible, you can just split up the map with other people, so you know, you can pretty much cover every single spot in the map. So you know, a bad map could be turned into a good map if you had party play as well. For party play to work, the rates need to be at least on par with solo grind. When you're in a party, there's a lot of shared mesos and EXP whenever someone kills a mob, which makes it not worthwhile, grinding in the party. The party play bonus must compensate for the shared penalty to make it worthwhile sharing a map with other players, as well as instance drops may be required, since a big concern with grinding together is looting. The all-important droplet, of course. Could even make it so that if one person loots a droplet or node zone, everyone else in the party receives one as well. This might sound a bit too good, you know, it might be game breaking, even because, you know, you could have like 5 other people AFK and one person keeps, grinding, right? But, you know, if you nerf the drop rate of the droplets and node stones in the party play map, you know, but everyone can receive one, it could balance out the nerf drop rate, right? So yeah, I think those are the 3 main points that would solve unused maps in MaintStory: update mob rewards, revamp the map layout, and party play. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think of these changes, and I'll catch you in the next one.